Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm-Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. So this actually occurred on Sunday. They stated that the Costa Rican National Police had told this to ABC News.
It has been reported that the wife of Malcolm-Jamal Warner has spoken up, and her revelation has left everyone in shock. She is coming forward with the identity of the person she believes killed Malcolm after years of rumors, cover-ups, and unsolved issues. To be clear, this is not some ambiguous assertion or mysterious hint. She is revealing information, naming names, and bringing to light a tale that has been suppressed for far too long. It becomes messy at this point, though. She is asserting that Malcolm was being followed and observed, and that he was inundated with anonymous threats urging her to back off before his death. It appears that someone in a position of authority is not being fair in their attempts to prevent this information from becoming public knowledge. The true question now is, why? Who stands to gain from keeping Malcolm's death a secret, and why now? The further we go, the more repulsive it becomes, and judging by his wife's speech, it is only just beginning. Therefore, gather your receipts, because this is not merely a sad widow coming out. Rather, it is a woman who is determined to bring down the person who is at fault, regardless of how high up the chain they are. It appears like Malcolm's wife is coming for blood, based on the way she supposedly reacted. Because, as she put it, Malcolm drowned, not the other way around. At last, she is prepared to reveal the identity of the perpetrator. She is not reserving her comments, nor is she allowing his murderers to escape punishment. She is calling it a full-blown cover-up, so disregard what the media told you. What she now knows has the potential to completely upend everything. She is setting everything out, including names, threats, and motivations. Based on her speech pattern, someone was about to be revealed. Knowing how tenaciously Malcolm defended his family throughout his lifetime, however, makes her statement all the more poignant. He made it his mission to keep his wife and daughter out of the public eye and out of the spotlight, never revealing their names or faces. And his wife is now honoring that, despite her pain. Although she is being anonymous, she is not remaining silent because she is apparently still coming forth with all of her knowledge in a controlled, measured, and brave manner. Even though she never reveals her identity, she is ensuring that Malcolm's voice is heard. The first item she did was shut down the drowning story because, in her words, there's no way Malcolm died in that water. She said he could not fight to save himself when the rip current hit, since he was already gone before he ever reached the water. Malcolm reportedly knew how to navigate such rip currents and was an extremely powerful swimmer. He was not in a panic or unsure of what to do after this strange accident. The fact that he did not react even when bystanders attempted to assist was the aspect that truly bothered him. At that point, it seemed like there was a severe issue. There are allegations that an autopsy was done shortly after Malcolm's death and found no water in his lungs, and if that's true, it completely changes everything, because if there's no water in the lungs, that means he couldn't have drowned. At least not in the way that the media has been pushing it. So now the question becomes, what really happened before he hit that water? Well, it looks like his wife might be claiming he'd been poisoned with an untraceable poison, and that he was pushed into the water as a way to hide the evidence of the crime. However, why would anyone wish to remove Malcolm-Jamal Warner? To most, he seemed quiet, collected, and totally unproblematic. He avoided drama, kept to himself, and somehow found a way to enter the spotlight without becoming embroiled in controversy. He was uncommon in Hollywood for that reason alone. Why then? Would anyone wish to perceive him as a danger? Malcolm's wife seemed to be implying that he had begun to speak up, and not in a lighthearted way. According to her, he was becoming more outspoken behind the scenes and criticizing some extremely influential individuals, and it seems that they took it seriously. You see, Malcolm was becoming well-known due to the popularity of his podcast, Not All Hood. He was revealing the hidden hardships that Black performers endure, exposing the hypocrisy of the industry, and revealing the true nature of Hollywood. It was not diluted or sugar-coated, and some individuals felt more uneasy the more candid he became. Malcolm does more than just talk in one of the episodes I will play. He challenges authority, names, trends, and awakens people. And speaking the truth like that typically has repercussions.
The reason for the title is combating the narrative of Black life, Black culture that the media focuses on. And
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The Black community is not a monolith.
While movies by artists like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski continue to air as if nothing had happened, Malcolm was also not hesitant to ask the awkward questions aloud, such as when The Cosby Show was taken off television the instant Bill Cosby was found guilty. He publicly criticized the unfairness of the system. The entire legacy is destroyed when it involves a black man. Everyone tries to distance themselves from the artist when it is a white man. He became an issue for those who profit from silence because of that very honesty. Not only that, but Malcolm also claimed that the influential white executives in Hollywood were deliberately causing unrest in the black community. He claimed that it was they who promoted drama and set up prosperous black men against one another for amusement and financial benefit. He criticized the Kendrick versus Drake feud last year, claiming it was not simply a rap conflict but also a premeditated one that was detrimental to the culture. He claimed that while strong individuals sat back and cashed the checks, it exalted violence, selfishness, and divisiveness. Fans also observed that Malcolm's farewell podcast broadcast contained a very subdued yet impactful message. He talked about how black guys are routinely dehumanized by the media, how, just for existing, they are continuously confined, stigmatized, and pushed to the limit. However, his suggestion that he was preparing to reveal everything was the part that truly caused people to take notice. In retrospect, many believed he was warning us and may have even been aware that his time was running out. What he said was this:
Black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could acknowledge, discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life, and we wanted to be able to have a place where we can talk about all of those things, discuss all of those things, and shed light on the not all hood aspects of who we are.
However, it is said by his wife that there are too many things that do not add up. She may be certain that Malcolm's death was not an accident for precisely this reason. Let us now discuss the rescue. According to reports, it took place in broad daylight on a public beach with onlookers nearby. However, in a day when people use their phones for everything, the fact that not a single image or video has emerged from that moment raises more than a suspicion. What emerged subsequently, however, is even more disturbing. Recently, a little video purportedly showing Malcolm strolling by himself on the beach just before everything occurred has come to light again. Who videotaped it, why, and why it never reached the news previously are all unknown. People are beginning to wonder if he was being followed because it seems like someone was watching him.
Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm-Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. So this actually occurred on Sunday. They stated that the Costa Rican National Police had told this to ABC News.
Then there's mystery around the second man who was in the water with Malcolm. To this day, nobody knows who he is. His identity has never made the public. And from what we've heard, his situation wasn't even that serious. He was out of the hospital within days. There were even rumors of Malcolm's 8-year-old daughter being involved, and she barely had to go to the hospital. But Malcolm was the only one who passed away? Yeah, the math ain't mathin' on this one. There's too many variables. And now, there's where things start to get murky. Malcolm's wife said, the autopsy report came out and clearly showed that he didn't drown. No water in the lungs, no signs of struggle in the water. None of it's adding up, but the Costa Rican authorities claimed an autopsy was done and ruled the death accidental. The problem is that the complete study has not yet been made public. Not to the family, not to the public. The obvious question is now being asked. Why is so much being kept secret when this was only a terrible accident? Lastly, the reason Malcolm entered the sea in the first place is not really explained. This beach was not your typical one. With red flag warnings in effect that day and hardly any lifeguards on duty, locals say it is well known to be unsafe. The question now is, why would Malcolm, who is naturally careful and a skilled swimmer, suddenly disregard all of that? Fans no longer believe the official narrative at this time. Many now think his wife was correct all along. Malcolm never walked into the water voluntarily. Thus, he did not disregard the warnings. You have seen this before though, let us face it. The same thing seems to happen to outspoken black musicians who do not play the Hollywood game. they either fade into obscurity or pass away unexpectedly in ways that do not seem right. Malcolm now appears to be the most recent in that tragic, protracted cycle. However, things become much more suspect at this point. Malcolm apparently flew to Costa Rica because he needed to get his mind straightened out after receiving a lot of threats. According to his wife, she claims the threats weren't just random hate mail either. These were serious, anonymous, and completely untraceable calls, warning him to stop speaking out or his family would pay the price. All of this, it seems, began when he intensified his advocacy and denounced the treatment of black musicians in the industry. Now, the obvious question is being raised: was Malcolm's goal in Costa Rica to simply unwind? Or was there something much more dangerous that he was fleeing? According to other reports, the calls supposedly left him so shaken each time that, after just one, his entire demeanor would change. She also claims that Malcolm began making cryptic references in his last podcast episode, indicating that he was at last prepared to reveal everything, regardless of the repercussions. However, he drowned before he could execute that maneuver. All of the truth he was carrying suddenly perished along with him. And now that Malcolm has left and the official narrative is rife with inconsistencies, his wife is doing all in her power to come forward, since whatever Malcolm discovered obviously made him a target. This does not appear to be an accident, given the unresolved questions, the enigmatic threats, and the missing video. It appears to be a cover-up. Furthermore, if their claims are accurate, the person who silenced Malcolm was not merely attempting to bury a man, rather, they were attempting to bury the truth. However, they may have misjudged the extent to which his wife will go to ensure that his narrative is not forgotten, because the world is watching this time.